Hi there, welcome. My name's Mark Price and I'm the module tutor for KV421, which is a core module for all students on the Working with Children and Young People programme right the way through year one. This is the first of a series of 6 podcasts that I'll be putting on Student Central over the coming year, usually about a week or so before the Saturday session that we'll be having together at Falmer. The idea is that these podcasts give you a chance to reflect on some key themes, prepare yourself for the session, and then go into these sessions with your tutors on the Saturday morning, having already thought about some of the ideas and themes we might discuss. So a couple of words of introduction about all that, and then I'll be talking more in detail about 2 key themes for today, the notion of professionalism and reflective practice. The title of the module is Professional Reflective Practice in Learning and Development, and we put huge emphasis on this notion of reflection throughout the course at Falmer, and I know that as part of KV400, the study skills module, that process of reflection will be introduced to you. I'm going to say a little bit more about that a little later. The other thing then to say about the Saturday sessions generally run from 9:15 through to 1 o'clock. The first of these sessions is on Saturday the 10th of October, and it's a Saturday where we'll be meeting together in a number of different groups throughout the morning. To start off with, we're meeting together with myself in West Lane House Lecture Theatre, which is W100. If you've not come across the lecture theatre in West Lane House yet, it's the big building opposite Checkland where the cafe and restaurant is upstairs. You go through the main doors, turn right, and the lecture theatre is on the right. So we'll be starting there at 9:15 on Saturday morning. From there, you'll go into what we call the route-specific groups with your route tutor, and then from there we move into even smaller groups, the reflective practice groups, which we'll introduce on the Saturday. So this module is slightly different to the other modules. It's a module where you'll be in a number of different configurations, and it's a module, if you like, that runs all the way through the course and helps you reflect as you do each module in turn on how things are developing for you and how your overall development is shaping up. The other thing to say about Saturday is hopefully you'll have been asked to identify what we call a workplace learning facilitator. The workplace learning facilitator is someone in your work setting who acts as a mentor for you to support you in the development of your practice throughout the course. And the first Saturday that we have together on the 10th of October, we're inviting those workplace learning facilitators to join us from 11:30. Again, I'll be providing an introduction for them on their role, and then they'll be meeting with you and your reflective practice tutor to look at the process of supporting your learning in the workplace. So if you've not already done so, could you make sure you let us know who your workplace learning facilitator is and give them notice, if you can, that we're meeting together on Saturday the 10th of October. For them it's from 11:30, but we'll also be sending a letter out to them. Okay, I think that's all my kind of preliminary introductions. I'm just going to say a little bit about who I am first of all, before we then talk about this notion of reflection and professionalism. A long time ago, I was a play worker in London, and being a play worker was the first kind of job I had where I started to realise that I'd found something of my element, if you like. I realised that actually working with children and young people was an area where I felt at home, but I also felt incredibly challenged, but it was an area that I wanted to learn. And from there, for a while, I moved into teaching, and I was a teacher in a secondary school in Oxfordshire. But in terms of being a teacher, I very rapidly realised that actually my heart was in working with young people who perhaps found it more challenging to engage in formal education, and I moved into youth work and counselling and psychotherapy from there. And it was that brought me into being a lecturer. But the reason why I'm telling this story is that one of the things I think that is true for many of us is that our professional lives change and unfold. Many of you I know will have worked in different areas before you've come into the work you're doing now, and may have changed your roles in terms of your working lives a number of times. Some of you will have come into this work much earlier, but one of the things that defines each of us is that we have our own individualised route through our professional lives. And this module and the parallel modules in years 2 and 3 follow that individualised route. So by the idea of professionalism and being a professional, I'm going to use my glasses as a metaphor. I'm going to talk a bit about my glasses and the way that glasses give you a particular perspective on the world. So these are my glasses. I've worn them for 40 years. Gosh, that's a shock. I've worn these glasses for 40 years, not these same pair, and that's the whole point, if you like, that as my sight has changed, I've changed my glasses. But what our glasses do is give us a particular perspective on the world. They frame the way that we see the world, and they bring it into a particular focus. And most of us that wear glasses, and if you don't wear glasses, similarly, you will take for granted that you don't wear glasses. So there's a certain amount of taken for grantedness about our glasses or what type of eyesight we have. And that's good. We would not want to be in a position where we're constantly reflecting or thinking about the fact that our glasses are helping us in a particular way. So our glasses are part of who we are. Our eyesight is what makes us, and we see the world in a particular way. We also notice that actually everyone's glasses are slightly different. It gives us our own unique perspective. If you've ever tried on somebody's glasses, somebody else's glasses, you'll realise that actually it makes the world look strange and distorted. And the reason why we're using that as a metaphor for professionalism is what we're interested in supporting you through this course is for you to develop your own unique perspective, your own unique professionalism in your work. Working with children and young people, whether it's as an early years practitioner, in supporting learning context, as a youth worker, as a play worker, whatever role you might have, we're interested in helping you become the practitioner that you want to be, rather than turning out autonomans where every early years practitioner is the same, every learning support assistant, every teaching assistant is the same, and so on. Part of the notion of being professional and of having professionalism is we have our own autonomous view on the world. Sure, we want you to feel part of a community. We want you to feel connected to others in a similar professional role. And in that way, where people you work alongside who have a similar role to you recognise your professional perspective as being similar to theirs, that you have a lot of things in common. But nevertheless, we each have our own unique set of values, our own unique perspective that gives us who we are as a professional. So professionalism, in a sense, is a bit like having glasses, in that the glasses, our eyesight, is unique to us. And our role is to help you develop that and feel confident in that and still take it for granted, but also having an awareness of what that perspective gives us. Now, the other thing about glasses and professionalism is at times we do change our perspective. We do change our glasses. I've had my eyes tested about a year ago now and had to have my glasses changed again at that point. And every time we have a re-examination of our eyesight, a review of our vision, we often have to undergo then a series of adjustments to get used to the new perspective. And part of this module is about, at times, challenging those perspectives, about exploring why we see things in a particular way and asking us to review our perspective on things. Not necessarily to change things, but knowing that in that reviewing process, sometimes our adjustments are made. And in that sense, a reflective practice, and this module as a whole, is one of examining our practices, reviewing the way we work, and making adjustments. And at times, that can feel slightly disorientating. And sometimes it does require us to then perhaps either take our glasses off and clean them or get a new prescription. So, over the course of this module, be prepared at times for some of the taken for grantedness that you might bring to your work to be challenged and questioned, not in an aggressive way hopefully, but in a way that says, so why do we think like that? What is it we're seeing in our work that leads us to those conclusions? Now, alongside this notion of professionalism then, our perspective that we have on our work is also the notion of reflection. And reflection is that way of working which helps us examine some of those taken for granted perspectives. If you like, it's a way of taking our glasses off and examining them and thinking about what it is about us, our background, our values, our heritage that gives us the perspective that we have. And I'll give you an example of that. I grew up in the Midlands near Leicester, and I was born and lived with a family that I felt very much part of. And that family experience that I had growing up in Leicester gave me just the bedrock for how I see families in the future. Now I know of course that families come in all shapes and sizes. Some people live with their birth parents, some people live with other adults, looked after by other adults. But we each have a sense of what families are, how families are constituted. So when we're working with children, let's say recently I was working with two teenagers, and their family setup was very, very different to the family setups I have to be careful that I don't take for granted or assume aspects of their family life that are based on the family life that I had. So in other words, we have to be aware of how our background, our upbringing, our own experience, our own values give us a particular perspective. They are part of the glasses we wear. And that process of examining that taken for grantedness, examining those values, examining the way we see things is part of reflective practice. And again, similarly to professionalism, it asks us to question ourselves and question each other and are opening our values up for examination. So professionalism is in terms of the identity we have, if you like, the way we see the world through a particular professional lens, through a youth work lens, through an early years lens, through a teaching assistant lens. And reflective practice is understanding the nature of that lens and how very personal aspects of that lens give us the perspective that we have. Okay, I hope that's been interesting and helped you reflect on the type of professionalism you have and the type of way that you see your own values affecting the way you work. Have a think about those issues. On that Saturday morning, the 10th of October, I look forward to meeting you in the West Lane Lecture Theatre. I've posted some material on Student Central, but I will be going through all of this when we meet on Saturday, and I look forward to working with you over the coming year on this module.